Welcome, everybody. It's exciting. Today we're going to do a little bit about that wonderful, traditional Thanksgiving holiday that we all love so much. It's my favorite holiday, guys. I don't know about you.
Not me.
No? What's your favorite?
While being in the business for 49 years,
yeah, a lot of stress.
I've always dreaded it.
Yeah.
Of all the holidays, that's the one I just would rather avoid at all costs if possible.
Really? No.
Yeah, but
How about you, Charlie?
Yeah, it's my favorite holiday too. I just love this time of year: football, basketball, food,
Family. No.
family.
And how about this? No gifts.
no gifts.
No
gifts.
gifts.
Just
That's
eat.
huge. That's huge. It takes all that stress away.
Yep.
I mean, my next to this, it's Groundhog Day. But I let my ex-wife have Groundhog Day. I take Thanksgiving. No, just kidding, Kristen. Exciting. And we were canoodling about a couple of weeks ago, and we said, Tommy really came up with the idea because of the industry and the stress that he endures with his customers. Like, there's a lot of misconceptions about how to prepare for your Thanksgiving meal. What size turkey should I get? How long do I cook the turkey? What do I put in the turkey? Does the stuffing go in? Does the stuffing go on the side? There's a lot of misnomers. Is that a word? That goes into it. So Tommy was like, hey, maybe we can go on and kind of clear some of this up and talk it out. I think our audience would love it, and I fully agree. So get ready for, put on your turkey mask if you got one, put your Benny Hill music on, and get ready. Let's go. So I don't know, Tommy, what do you want to kick it off with at that?
well, the first thing, dealing with the customers for 49 years.
Yes.
Every Thanksgiving, that's the only holiday that generates so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Everybody is paranoid over presenting that perfect bird. They got a lot of people, a lot of guests coming over, family and friends, and nobody wants a disaster.
Nobody wants to be that guy that burns the turkey. to a
Burns the
crisp.
turkey,
Chevy Chase.
or forgets that little bag of gizzards tucked up in the neck cavity, which
Guilty.
I'm guilty of myself. And if you've done that and you come across it, just don't tell anybody. They're never going to know anything.
I thought that was a parting gift, actually. I thought that was like you won the centerpiece at
Whoever
the table.
picks it out gets it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at this. I won something.
Yeah, but every year I'll get people and they'll ask 1,000 questions. And before I answer them, I usually will pose a question back to them, put them in a position where they have to answer their own question. So I'll say, well, what have you done in the past? What did you do last year? And they don't really want to go into that. They'd rather have somebody just then and there bail them out.
Exactly.
And just get them through
Yeah,
it
they-
wut having to put more thought
they didn't
process.
go to
Oh,
the
you
butcher.
didn't do that, did ya?
They go to the butcher to be on a game show.
Yeah.
They were like,
Yeah.
okay, so my guy, give me the answers.
I can't resist. I just have to throw
Of
the
course.
question right back at them.
All this stress you endure, you got to
Yeah.
get fun with them. Otherwise, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
That's how they learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah,
You're
you
trying to
gotta
get 'em
play
to
around them
think.
a little bit. Hopefully, they have a sense of humor and
So would you say, like, I think of cooking my turkey, my two concerns, and I'm just wondering which one you hear is the bigger one. And people want more golden brown, crispy skin, or do they want not dry meat? What's their concern?
That's a very good question. I would have to say both, and therein lies the issue. How do you achieve both a crispy skin and moist meat at the same time? There are different methods. A lot of turkeys that you purchase in the store, a lot of them are self-basting, and by that I mean a lot of the turkeys are injected.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
And that's indicative of a butterball. We all grew up with butterballs.
Yep.
For years, our grandparents, my nonna, it was all centered around the butterball turkey. It had to be a butterball. But as the years have gone by, the butterball has lost a lot of its notoriety, so to speak, and now it's becoming more of a second thought, and nobody's really looking to the butterball as their go-to. That generation has passed. So as we continue on, I'm finding that people are looking for a butterball, much less. The prices are a lot higher.
Yeah, I was going to say, they price themselves out of the market?
They've
Is that
priced
why?
themselves out of the market. And quite frankly, a butterball is a name. It's a grade A turkey. All the turkeys you'll find in the markets are all a grade A turkey. The USDA does a grading system. It's pretty simple when it comes to turkeys and poultry. The top grade is a grade A, and that's usually based on any what's not there, not so much as what's there. It has to be void of feathers, bruising, discolorization, something like that. But that pretty much goes with all turkeys. So you go into the market now, you're going to find all grade A turkeys available. Cool. So you don't have to pay too much attention to that aspect of it.
So you said that Butterball's pricing themselves out of the game. So what brand are people leaning towards? Just the Stop and Shop brand?
Well, not a specific brand in general, but what we refer to as a grade A turkey, and it could be any name brand. Shady Brook Farms is one particular name, and there are others in the industry. But basically, we've always in the past and to this current day referred to most of the turkeys, whether fresh or frozen. It's either going to be a grade A or it's going to be a Butterball. Yep. And the grade A could be, a bunch of different brands.
Gotcha.
So I bought a smaller one not too long ago just to do a test cook, and I found that like at an international market, a grade A was about $1.29 a pound, right? And then when I looked at Butterball out of Stop and Shop, it was like just about $1 more. It was like $2.29, $2.49. Yeah, so I mean, it means a lot when you're talking at those numbers. $1 a pound is doubling the cost, right?
Right.
I bought a 12-pound turkey, so instead of paying $15, $16, I would have paid somewhere around $26, $25.
Yeah, you're gonna find in general that it's gonna be about $1 a pound difference between what we refer to as a grade A and the Butterball.
Yeah, and the time you buy it makes a big difference too, right? Because I noticed if you go out middle of October, prices aren't peaked yet, but if you're going out, that November 20th, forget it, right? And for sure, your turkeys can stay frozen in your freezers, folks. And if not, even a week out, that frozen turkey in the fridge won't go bad on you. So don't be afraid to buy it a little early to get the right price on stuff.
The only thing that I would advise not to go too early, and you brought up a good point, because we're getting people in now, usually 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks prior. Where are your turkeys?
Yeah.
How come you don't have any? Well, they're in the back. They're either in a reefer sitting outside the building in the back, or they're in our freezers. They're all there. They don't go on sale till 2 weeks before.
Right.
So
the demand's
hold on,
out there,
wait a couple of weeks, and you're going to get a much better deal. And for some reason, they just start to think about it too prematurely, and they just want to get it.
Right.
Just relax.
And it's an interesting, marketing concept, right? Because you think you're selling the turkey, that's the prize. So you're going to want to get your money on the turkey. But no, usually these markets will reduce the price on the turkey to get you in the store to buy everything else.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well said. We call that a loss leader.
Yep.
Our turkeys are always priced at that loss leader type of concept. And I'm letting the bag out of the hat a little bit prematurely here, but you'll see the Stop and Shop's ad probably Wednesday this week, and we will be starting them out Friday, merchandising them out on the floor for sale.
Right.
Grade A turkey is going to be 49 cents a pound. And,
Wow.
And the Butterballs,
Talk about a loss leader.
$1 for that's a loss leader.
They used to call me a
they're
loss
losing
leader
their
on the football
shirts on
team.
turkey. Nobody wants to sell a turkey, but you have to come out there
Sure.
and be aggressive with the price point to draw them in.
Yep.
And then they make up for it with other merchandise, but that's called the loss leader in the business.
Cranberry sauce is like $17 a can, but
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean that's a valid marketing strategy, because if you ever go to Costco, like they always pimp their rotisserie chickens, and they go all the way dead in the back of the store.
Yeah,
next to the
You got to
bathrooms.
walk by everything to get there, everything to get back.
Yeah, it's all the
so.
strategy.
boy, those are good.
That's why milk is where it is. That's why bread is where it is. You have to walk a mile to get to it.
Yeah, your produce,
It's all strategy.
Your produce is over here, and your milks and frozen,
Right.
vegetables are over there. You got to walk the whole store to get everything. That's it. They know what they're doing. They've done it a while. That's cool. So, all right. Well, I mean, yeah, and let's stay on the bird for a while. So we got the bird now. We got it home. We got to defrost it. We got to brine it, right? And then we got to prep it for cook. What are we doing? How long are we defrosting a turkey? Because this is something that's still magical to me, because in that test cook I told you about, I had to rush the defrost because I didn't usually I'll buy a turkey 2 or 3 days out, I'll leave it in the fridge, it's fine. But I needed this thing to defrost overnight. And, the butcher and my wife told me, you're fine, just take it home, soak it in some water, keep it in the fridge, it'll defrost out. It really didn't. I was to your point, I was pulling the giblet bag the next morning with like chiseling away at it. So
Yeah, a frozen turkey, it'll take 24 hours for every 4 pounds.
Ooh.
So 1 pound, 1 day for every 4
should be
pounds.
writing this shit
So a
down.
20-pound turkey will take 5 days.
Yep.
16-pound turkey, 4 days. And that's what.
Starting
It's
to
the
think I
best way
cooked
to
some
go.
turkeys that weren't all the way
Right.
defrosted.
Stick it in the bottom of your fridge, push it way in the back, in the coldest spot. And, anybody with a 20-pound turkey, they should have it in their fridge a week ahead of time.
Really?
Don't
Okay.
wait. Don't wait, because then you're just going to be struggling with it. If that thing fully defrosts, excuse me, if that thing fully defrosts 2 days ahead of time, you're fine.
Right.
There's nothing to be worried about.
Right.
Like I said, 24 hours for every 4 pounds.
Yeah, folks, I'll put these tips from Tommy in the bottom of the description of this video, so you can go down there and get that. That'll be the first tip we put down there. And while you're down there looking, please hit subscribe and like and the bell there. We need your help. We're growing. We're going. The Butch's stuff's blowing up on our YouTube channel, so we're growing now. But we need to grow faster. So please like and subscribe. Okay.
Aside from that natural defrosting in the
Yes.
fridge, stuff can happen. Shit can hit the fan.
Right.
If you're finding that you're a day or two out, or whatever reason it may be, and you have a frozen turkey on your hands,
Yep.
the recommended way is to defrost it in a sink in cold water.
Yep.
Now you have to replace the water frequently. You don't want to let the water come to room temperature, because then you're running, you're asking for trouble.
Yep.
But leave the turkey in its original packaging. Do not take it out, because you're only going to bleach it out. You're going to be giving it a bath sitting in the sink with water.
Yes.
But just put it in the sink, and usually within about 8 hours, you can get a 16 to 20 pound turkey almost defrosted overnight. If you're at the wit's end and you need to do something in an emergency at the last minute, that's what's your best bet. You don't want to be taking a bath with it or anything like that. Don't be using it. Don't use warm water, whatever you do. Make sure the water is cold and change it frequently.
Why don't you want to use warm water, Tom? Tell our listeners that.
Well, the warm water is going to raise the external part of the temperature to a danger zone temperature.
Yep.
And, that internal part of the turkey is still going to be frozen. And now you're exposing the outside to a danger zone temperature.
Right.
And you're
So
just
I
asking for
think
trouble.
I think it's 70 degrees. I think a safe zone for food should never go over 70 degrees.
It's, yeah.
There's a number. I forget. Like when you heat something up, for example, you take it to boiling and it's at 180 degrees. You got to cool it as quickly as you can within 4 hours to under 70 degrees. And then, of course, you want to keep it in your fridge at 40. But if it's under 70, you're good. So to Tommy's point, if you got it on the hot water and you got, let's say, a 3-inch patch hitting the hot water that's now over 70 degrees, even though the thing's still frozen, that area can start growing bacteria.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to, NG, no good. So get the whole thing working together. So, what I've seen a lot, and I wonder about the changing of the water, but I see a lot of people, they'll throw it in a cooler in the garage. Right, they'll take it, put it in a cooler, fill it with water, and it's same kind of sort of because it's cold this time of year, so it's in the 50s. So you got something out there, it's fine. But to your point, you probably should change that water if you're going to keep it out there multiple days. You probably want to change that water, because that's the biggest challenge when you're making the dinner. Right, it's not just your oven space; it's your refrigerator space. You just can't-
Absolutely.
Right, so. I've seen people go to coolers before, and I would say it's fine as long as you're monitoring it and keeping it under that 70 degrees.
And you can always pre-order it, which is what a lot of people do.
What does
They
that
don't
mean?
want to take it home a week ahead of time. They don't want to have to deal with it sitting in their fridge or crowding up space. You can place an order, and
But
we will hold
butchers,
it
you
for
know how to take the orders, but you don't know how to keep the orders all the time.
Yeah.
it's such a thing of faith. You go in there and
What happens to those orders?
yeah. Well, no, you know what? You guys have your capacity. Or you walk in, how many orders we got? We got 183. How many turkeys we got? We got 190.
Yeah.
We're good, right? But then you go and here comes Mr. 181. He's like, got my order, and he's like, damn.
Yeah,
I had a 7-person run on orders today, and you're screwed. Buddy.
No matter how organized you are, you're going to have some nightmare issues. It always happens. So
do you scramble? Do you go to the stores? Hey, get another turkey. I can get
well,
over
yeah. If you know proactively that you're going to run into that, if it just happens, spontaneously, there's not a damn thing you can do. You can make up for it. Sometimes if somebody ordered, say, like a 24-pound turkey, most of the orders are for large ones because people come in early. They want that turkey that's the size of a house.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Who
And then
feels
it doesn't fit in the
who
oven.
feels like, handling something like that? I always try to advise them to go a little bit smaller, maybe either go 2 smaller ones, or if you have an issue where that's going to create too much dark meat, you can get 1 smaller turkey and do a turkey breast along with it.
Right.
You're not dealing with, having to have a crane to deal with this 24, 28-pound turkeys.
Nope.
And all that's doing is just creating a show piece. It's just a presentation piece.
And it's easier to screw up too. Because it doesn't
Absolutely.
fit in the oven well. It doesn't cook in the oven well.
Yep.
You screw up your math in the process. I usually do 3 when I do we'll do a 30-person cook. I'll do 3 turkeys, and they'll all be just over 20 pounds, 20, 21 pounds, and we'll do it 3 different ways. We'll keep one intact, traditional, baked in an oven, and then we'll spatchcock one and put it on the smoker. And then we will take the 3rd one and we'll deep fry it. We'll drop it in oil and deep fry it. And my family loves it because now you got 3 nice birds coming out. Usually they're all moist because they're not, like you're saying, you weren't dealing with a big bird or dealing with multiple ovens and issues with that. You were just dealing with a nice, simple cook on 3 different birds. And they got a variety. It's like, oh, that taste, smoked turkey is an acquired taste. A lot of people don't like it. But they'll taste it. Everybody will taste it. Oh, I never had it. Let me taste that. Oh, yeah, it tastes good. No, they don't want that.
Yeah, no.
They go somewhere. They're off to the other table.
Right.
But that's fine, and that's why you do it. But
That smoked turkey we had down south was crack.
yeah.
I mean, that stuff was amazing. I was just thinking about it's because they were talking. What was that? The one we went to where
That was at the Lexington.
Lexington. They
Lexington
say
barbecue.
they do turkeys for everybody around Thanksgiving.
Yep.
They smoke turkeys for
Yep.
them, and they do a huge business doing
Yep,
that.
they have them in their smoke pits. They cook them out in the smoke pit, and then what they do to me is they'll thinly slice it, and on the griddle they'll just do a quick poach on the griddle. So add a little dark
Wow,
to
I
it.
like that.
They were really good. Yeah, it was good.
Nice touch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's pretty much frozen turkeys.
Yeah. All right.
We haven't talked about fresh turkeys yet.
No, all right, let's do that because I was going to get into the next thing of prepping the turkey. But what do you have about fresh turkeys?
Fresh turkeys. Over the years, I've always went to a fresh turkey.
Yeah.
Being in the business, but I've kind of learned that I highly recommend avoiding that and going with a frozen turkey. First of all, you're going to get a better price point. Mm-hmm. And most importantly, the USDA allows the poultry industry, which includes turkeys, to maintain, ship, store all poultry products in a temperature zone of 28 to 32 degrees.
Okay.
So what that does is ensure that the product does not deteriorate, spoil at any given time. Because when you're talking on a national level with turkeys, you're talking massive amounts. And there's no way they can kill, process, ship turkeys like fresh each day. So they're massively produced and they're able to hold them for a longer time at that temperature. So what does that tell you? It's below freezing.
Right.
Now, that doesn't actually freeze, but you will get a lot of ice crystal formation. And a lot of times they'll get to the point where they feel frozen. I get a lot of customers saying, "Are these turkeys fresh?" "Oh yeah, they're fresh. They're about as hot as this. They're about as hot as this table." But you got to tell them it's fresh, and then they're looking at you like, "What the hell are you talking about?
Right.
These things are hot as a rock."
Right.
And then you have to kind of go into that explanation, and no matter how much you try to give them a factual explanation, they're looking at you like, "This guy's full of shit." He's, But that's why I tend not to advise or recommend doing a fresh turkey, because they're basically frozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you
Meaning
go to
they're all frozen.
Yeah.
Fresh.
unless you
well,
go
not
to
fresh.
right, unless you go to a smaller market, turkey farms, that type of thing, where you can get organically grown or
Local.
pasture raised turkeys, you're gonna be insured a fresh product, but you're gonna pay through that.
That's what I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about like going to a farm and getting a turkey butchered.
No.
Getting the head chopped
No.
off.
They have
for you.
one it's in Framingham or what's that? Rehoboth. It's Bell's Turkey Farm.
Bellwing, yeah, used to be
No,
before the-
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm talking what they call commercial grade. The commercial grade are the ones you predominantly will find in the markets. They're the ones that are most most produced numbers, and it's what we're looking at basically.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are other breeds, but there are a lot of like niche type breeds with organics, heritage breeds, and all those things, which I'm not even going to get into that. So,
All right, so what are we doing next time? We got our turkey. It's fully defrosted. It's patted dry. It's waiting to get put into a cooking environment. What are we doing to this turkey? Are we going to plump it up with some kind of injections? Are we going to butter? I see a lot of. It's always a favorite of mine because it's just like so damn fun. But you usually separate the skin from the turkey and you push the butter underneath.
that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love doing that. That's
You
fun.
can get like an herb butter, make your own herb butter with sage, rosemary, whatever.
This guy.
Yeah. You
my,
lift
my free 13 seconds of the day, I make an herb butter.
yeah, you can lift the skin off the breast, and you got to be careful and just get in there with your hands, and you can have a lot of fun with that.
Ladies, take your diamond rings off.
Yeah,
Don't want to be scoring that puppy.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it, and that'll ensure that the breast meat, which is your white meat, will remain moist.
Yep.
There's a lot of external things you can do, with butter itself, and then you get the old little turkey squeezer there, the little yellow bubble thing, the old turkey baster trick. And just work your magic with that thing. That thing is multi-purpose tool.
Yeah, that thing's great for the last 45 minutes of the cook. It's great. Oops, I'm trying to
off the deep end.
I'm trying to cook over here.
Trying off the deep end. Then what do you got left?
Awesome. Yeah, and then so are the majority of your turkeys done in the oven? Are you doing any?
Yeah, I do. I've never done anything other than an oven roasted turkey. I have done them spatchcock style, and that's a great alternative because what that does, it'll cut down on your cooking time tremendously, and it opens it all up. It's basically a butterfly turkey, so you're getting greater exposure to the heating elements of the oven. It's not, you're not getting the bottom part of the turkey not getting browned up. The bottom parts of the thighs and even the wings sometimes that are resting underneath the turkey. By that butterfly spatchcock method, that will produce the greatest results. If you can get your butcher to do that for you, or you're handy enough to do it yourself, which is a little bit challenging at home. But the old spatchcock.
The bones are good to cut through, and pretty tough, and it's pretty slippery.
Right.
But basically, dummy it way down for everybody. Think about if you're going to make a Cuban sandwich, right? And you want that bread nice and crispy. You're going to flatten it out, right? Make it as flat as you can in the pan.
Like a panini press.
Exactly. So you're doing the same thing with the turkey. You're basically splitting the breast. The spine bone. You're cutting it out, removing it. So now it's like a horseshoe kind of a shape. And then you pull it down. You crack the breast. You make it flat. Tommy did a great job tucking the wings back and getting it as flat as possible. So now you only have this piece of meat that's maybe 4 or 5 inches off your cooking surface in an oven or in a smoker, and it's getting the heat a lot more thoroughly and a lot faster, so it's cooking better rather than a big empty bowl of meat, because that's what you'll end up with, right?
Right.
And people do the beer can turkey.
Yeah, they stuff. A lot of people stuff. My grandmother used to stuff that thing.
Yeah. Well, oh no, you put the
stuffing
in it. Yeah, that's another one because. Us Italians, we just can't do the bread stuffing. We got to do all the.
You got to have the sausage in there,
sausage, the gabagool, the prosciutto.
I use chorizo.
Yeah.
I do chorizo.
You do chorizo.
Yep.
Yeah, it's killer with chorizo, ground chorizo.
Guys, if you don't know what you're doing, be careful because you're taking a bird, right? And you got all those wonderful biology experiments going on with that bird. Now you're stuffing it with fresh meat, and now you're expecting all that to cook.
Yeah, you have to be on point with your temperature.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
You got to make sure that thing's cooked well.
Nice dose of. Can I have a little more of the salmonella, please?
So, is your favorite side stuffing? Are you that easy?
You know I am.
Come on, there's got to be some other side.
Listen, we do at my place we do a candied yams, which is the yams nice and mushy and mashed, and then
they put the little marshmallows.
I was
on
just
there.
gonna say
we do
that.
a nice marshmallow covering on
The
it.
little pecan, crushed pecans on top.
You have to have like Disney songs playing in the background.
You do.
Right?
And once you eat it, you have in your head.
You're out of the woods. You're out of the woods.
Yes.
Little Tweety birds flying around. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, everybody has their own
No,
what's yours,
my
Tommy?
other my other
Oh,
my
sorry.
other side is usually some kind of a Virginia ham.
Yo,
know.
under each arm.
Yes, that's my other side. I like to throw out there.
What about you, Tommy? Do you have a preference?
As a matter of fact, I have two traditional sides that I grew up with that are quintessential Thanksgiving as far as I'm concerned. And these two particular sides I will not have all year long. It's only on Thanksgiving. And one of them is popular, and that's turnip.
Okay.
Just you dice them up and bring them to a boil in water. Actually, I steam them so the water they don't get like water sogged. And just steam them, cut them up in chunks, mash them up with butter, and that is to me all Thanksgiving nostalgia since a little boy. The other thing is actually a recipe from, I believe it's a 1918 or 1920 Fanny Farmer cookbook, and it's scalloped oysters. Now, oysters is fairly. I'm
shaking my head because the Reverend made those scalloped oysters every year.
I tell you, I grew up with them. I grew up with them. I do it to this day, and I won't have it all year long. But Thanksgiving, it's got to be on the table. Otherwise, it's not Thanksgiving. It's just one of those.
I've never heard that before.
It's
astonishing.
All it is, you get oysters, a couple of pints of oysters, and you have to make a breadcrumb, cracker crumb type of, and it's melted butter, a lot of melted butter.
Yep.
You mix it in with a cracker crumb breading mixture, and you have to layer it. You put a layer of the breading in like a small baking dish, put a layer of the scallops, oysters, and then a little drizzle of light cream, and then you repeat the second layer. And you just bake it off in the oven for about half an hour at 350.
It's like an oyster lasagna.
Oh, it's so rich. It's very rich. It's very buttery.
Yeah.
It hits you here after you're done with it. But to me,
it sounds so good right now. Like when I was a kid,
it's insane. I'm glad you know what I'm talking about.
When I was a kid, I was like,
chicken.
And it is. It's out of a Fanny Farmer cookbook from the early 20th century.
Yep.
But that's Thanksgiving.
No, that's
those two items. The turkey, I could do with all that. Not that I could do it without it, but those two items.
My mom probably made the best side that I remember, and then from there it was handed down. Not handed down, but the next person who made it as good as my mom was my sister-in-law Lori, stuffed artichoke.
Yes.
Breading and olive stuffed artichoke, nice and steamed first, then filled and baked out. That thing is like, it's just fun in itself, right?
Yeah.
You got to get through that whole thing to the choke. And just love eating.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, that's
Cacciofoli.
Yeah.
Cacciofoli.
That's how you say it,
Nora
Tommy?
used to call them cacciofoli.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you said. You don't make it out. Believe it or not, Sue will go and pick just like one or two artichokes up, and she'll throw them in a boiling pot of water, and she'll just eat them after her meal. She just likes the vegetable. But if I eat it, I have to have it with the oil and the breadcrumb stuffing and all the stuff in there, the olive slices, not oil. And so I only eat it at Thanksgiving. So that's Thanksgiving to me. And the peculiar thing about my family Thanksgivings is we incorporate Italian food with our Thanksgiving, right? So we have the soup and it starts with the antipasto. Everybody goes nuts about the charcuterie boards that we come out with and wonderful bread. Then we roll right into the soup, and that's usually stop, take a breath, clear the tables, right? And now here comes the Italian course, which of course is meatball sausage, lasagna, or stuffed shells, right? And then maybe an eggplant palm in there too. I don't know, but that comes out. We don't do any like loose pasta. There's no linguine or anything like that.
That's a lot, man.
No, just if you're getting pasta, you're getting lasagna or the stuffed shells, and then that comes out, and then there's a break, right? So you start at noon. You have the pasta around 1:30.
3 days later, you're on the turkey.
Later, right. When Jesus comes out of the tomb,
it's Easter now.
Right, 4 or 5 o'clock is when we'll sit down and eat our bird, right? So that's when it's our traditional thing, and nobody eats it, right? And then, because you're full, you can't eat anything more. And then there's coffee and dessert after, and that's
when the food coma.
And at 11,
sets in.
11 o'clock, you're sneaking down to the kitchen having cranberry and turkey sandwiches.
So we God, what's the years? Don't really remember. Go back maybe 12 years was my first Picaro Thanksgiving, and we carried it on for about 10 years. So it's only been a couple, 3 years since we stopped them. But we 30 kids, right? The families all my siblings get together with all their kids. It would be about 30, 35. It was great because at the beginning of this, all the kids are still in college. So everybody would leave with like, Sue, right? Here you go. And like these tins of food they bring back to their college dorms to have it when they went back to school because they'd eat it, they'd love it. It was awesome. So nothing went to a waste. But then as kids started graduating, they go downhill a little bit. You had to start reducing the amount of food you do. And it's tough now. So this year I'm going to cook for Sonny on Friday because of his work schedule. And what'll be weird is like to try to get all those different flavors of food in without, like if you make a pan of lasagna, it's going to be too much. There's 8 of us, right? Yeah. And then you do a dozen meatballs and a dozen
everything else, yeah.
And it's going to be too much, but you know what? So what? They'll take it home with them, I guess.
What's your least favorite thing on your family table for Thanksgiving?
Oh,
There's got to be one particular thing
that I would never
over the
eat.
years that's on your table that you could do without.
The 3-bean salad.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The 3-bean salad with the crushed.
Yeah.
I would eat the fried onion strings in
Off
the
the
middle.
top.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
But
Yeah.
the 3-bean salad.
My wife's family, and I never experienced this until we got married. They did this Jello mold, and
wow.
if she's watching and listening, she's gonna be laughing.
Hi, Pam.
And it's done in this like plastic mold dish, and you make the Jello, and there's like pineapple in there,
Oh, yeah.
and there's marshmallows in there.
So
and
the
it's-
texture thing, right?
Oh, yeah, it's just too much going on. I love cranberry sauce, but it's got to be a basic, simple, plain
Jelly?
cranberry sauce that just complements everything else.
I mean,
But when I got
things.
this big Jello mold firework thing going on,
Take it
I
on.
can
I
do
love
without that.
I would house that.
Really?
I just sit there with it on my lap.
Yeah,
And, you know,
oh, it's disgusting.
Well,
give me a shovel.
I was going the same way. I mean, cranberry sauce was like the number one at everybody's table, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, the Indians had it, so it had to be on the table. And you either get the canned one that's
Correct.
pre-molded, right? You take slices,
yeah.
or you get the chunky one, which I like the taste of cranberries, but it's just at a Thanksgiving, like I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to put that on my turkey. I don't want to put that in my sides. Like I'll
I
eat that
do.
stuff. Like if I'm having a steak, I'll have that. No, I can't have it on this stuff.
I want the mashed potatoes, gravy, piece of turkey, and cranberry sauce. That's my one bite, and then just shovel it in.
The cranberry sauce comes in best the next day.
Yeah.
That's when
Absolutely.
that's when
Yeah.
on your sandwich.
that's
Yeah.
yep.
And
And
slice of the.
I was
canned
going
salad.
somewhere with that, but that's when the cranberry sauce
Yeah.
is the highlight. The
first-
next day.
The first Thanksgiving days we did for the kids before we roasted the pigs, I used to bring a Thanksgiving sandwich, I called it, which was turkey, cranberries, mashed potatoes, and stuffing.
Yep.
And we'd roll it up in a big burrito skin and wrap it for them, and we'd hand them those things out pre and post game on the bus, whatever. And they love it because it's a Thanksgiving dinner in a bite.
That's
you know what
awesome.
I mean?
Great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
All right, here's my deuce story for Thanksgiving.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I like this. This is good.
You ready, Ma? I told you I was going to get you for this someday, and today is the day.
I'm sorry, Julie.
So, my brother's family, we kind of alternate Thanksgivings, my brother and his family and my family. And so he, 1 year he'll be up here with us, and the next year he'll be with his wife Mary's family, and so we do it that way. So
Yep.
it was one of the years where my brother and his wife and family weren't coming, so it was just myself, the boys, the deuce. And so we show up there, for Thanksgiving, and there's no turkey. All right,
Oh, no.
Listen, my kids are very traditional. Okay, they're like turkey, mashed potatoes, some stuffing, gravy. Go watch the football game. They're very basic. So there's no turkey, and I'm like, "Where's the turkey?" And she goes, "Oh no! I got rotisserie chickens."
Oh, boy.
Wow.
What happened?
Two rotisserie chickens, and it wasn't mashed potatoes. I think it was tater tots.
Wow.
It,
not that
it
bad.
felt like the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving where he gives everybody toast and popcorn.
Yeah.
My kids were pissed. They
I can
were
imagine.
They were so beside themselves.
Shouldn't have been pissed, but still.
Oh God! Yeah, when I say pissed, I'm like, quotation marks, but they couldn't believe it, and we give her a hard time to this day.
How do you
about
carry on after that?
It was just so funny. If you know my mother, you can just see she's like, I'm not cooking a turkey. Give me 3 of those rotisserie chickens for $10 a piece.
And that'll serve
If they
them.
don't like it, they can leave. Yeah.
Julie, I'm sure it was delicious. I'm sorry.
It was
Oh,
fine. It was fine.
I love tater tots.
We get to Christmas, I'll tell you the Christmas Eve story along the same lines. Anyway,
That's
folks, Charlie's story time.
All right. All right, folks, we got to take a quick water break, and we did. And I feel like you got a good sense of what you need to do with your birds and buying them, storing them, prepping them, cooking them, and getting them on the table. We talked a little bit about some of these sides. It's amazing how different sides are with everybody. But, I think something that kind of comes down to a smaller collection of foods is desserts, right? There's some classics at this time of year. I mean, I don't remember Thanksgiving about 2. It's pumpkin pie, of course, and then, believe it or not, banana bread. I had a couple people in my family and friends.
I like it.
Because I like it that they wouldn't, like the week prior, would make a ton of them and just give them away to people. You know what I mean? So we always had, that's how we started our day. When me and my wife would be getting everything ready, we'd be toasting and putting cream cheese on some banana bread. Yeah, so those are my 2. But, I mean, it gets to, it gets all over the place, right? Tommy shared his Jell-O mold of... I think people should just start sending that to your house right now.
Oh my God!
Get home.
Tommy, don't feel bad.
That mold.
What's that other?
I don't even like looking at it.
What's that other stuff I say? I say that I like too. The fruitcake.
Oh, the fruitcake. Oh, yeah,
I like the
please.
fruitcake,
this is
the
a
Jell-O
kid in the-
mold,
yeah.
the ambrosia.
The squid
The
jelly.
ambrosia. They're all in the same class.
Yeah, I'm eating all
Absolutely.
that. Eating all that.
Apple pie.
Apple
That's
pie's a
Apple pie,
must.
yeah.
Pecan pie.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
You know what amazes me? And I only know where to get a good one would be at Greg's restaurant. But my aunt, I had an Aunt Susie that could make them like nothing. Lemon meringue pie. Her meringue and her lemon, even her lemon filling, she would make it natural, right?
Yep.
And with the sugar and the lemon extract and whatever. And it was just amazing how like, because you see stuff in the store and you'd say, oh, that's delicious. And like, how do you make that? And how does that happen? And then you never know. And when you go to Greg's, forget it. It's like this. Feels like you can like 3rd floor fly into it. Yeah.
So good. You got to get your order in early at Greg's too. You try to order a week out, they'll tell you forget it.
Yep. Yeah.
If you need desserts from Greg's, get your order in now.
Yeah. Good tip.
Because they do get booked.
Tommy, do you make desserts or you just a cook guy?
I don't make desserts.
Yeah.
I'm not a baker because it requires too much precision, weighing and measuring, and
and
I
repetition.
can't be bothered with that. I'd
Your
rather
daughter's
just-
a baker, though, right?
My daughter's a baker. Pam's a good baker. My
Yeah.
wife's is a good baker, and they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
I could pass.
Yeah. Yeah. Sue and her daughter, same thing. Sue's a great cooker. She knows how she wants to cook. She wants to know what she wants to taste in her mouth. And she very seldom can repeat anything because she writes nothing down or follows no recipe when she's cooking. But her daughter, forget it, every step of the way to like the brand of the ingredients matters. And then, in dessert baking, it's like almost a chemistry. You got to do something and something's got to happen before you do the next step. You just
Exactly.
don't go into it, right? You put yeast, it's going to rise. You put this, it's going to... Oh, Maron.
It's all precision.
But yeah, it is for sure. But and it's 2 different people because she follows it, and they argue. They get because they're in a small kitchen. They get out of the way. Leave me alone, Mom. Go. You're done. Go. Get out of here. And she wants to help basically. And oh, please, no way. So do you have a favorite dessert? Did you say it? No, you didn't say it.
Well, usually pumpkin pie, squash pie, even squash pie.
Squash pie.
They're basically
Squash
the
pie's
same. They're
underrated.
basically the same thing.
Yeah,
but
just a little different.
That's
You're
my
right.
favorite.
Yeah. It's like the Easter custard pie and rice pie. It's like the same thing.
Oh
but-
yeah,
rice pie.
The rice pie, the pastetta.
But that's well. That's why I asked you the other day. I was trying. I'm going to go right out of my head again. The rum pie from, and it's not Thanksgiving. It's Christmas, but we can kind of
The rum
preview it.
cake.
The Super Inglés.
Super English.
Super
Thank you.
Inglés.
When
I
he added
couldn't think of
on
it.
over time, he was keep soaking it
Yeah,
with
yeah.
rum.
So what would happen
amazing.
is this gentleman, right, a friend of my father's, a salesman, and made a ton of money through my father's business back in the wholesale days of the 70s, would show up, and this guy, he was a 4x4. He was this high and this wide, and he'd come in, and he would just be waddling in with the biggest box you saw from a bakery, and he'd put it down, and it was this purple frosted, just layer cake, just layers of regular cake you'd have in there, but it had this frosting on it. And they would start like a week out from Christmas, and he would bring a bottle of rum, but not just one bottle of rum went into this. Every night, somebody would take rum and lace it, and just till by the time Christmas rolled around, it was just leaking out of the bottom of the box.
And weighed about 37 pounds.
You couldn't lift it. You could not lift this thing. When you had to cut it in the box and serve it from there, it was just amazing. And yeah, rum pie and Zuppa Inglese, and when I hear it, it brings back instant memories. But then I try to repeat that to someone, and if I don't get that name out in front, and that's what happened to me Friday night, Saturday night, I was like, what the hell's the name of that pie? And you can look it up. You can see Italian rum pies everywhere, but very seldom you'll find a Zuppa Inglese, and then it's one of those memories.
Me, what's a rum cake? And I said Vincent.
Yeah. Oh, that's why you put Vincent. I thought you were trying to get my attention. But it's one of those memories that it has to go all the way around in your head to come back out the other way. But the Zuppa Inglese. But that's for Christmas. We'll save that for Christmas for sure.
Maybe we should make one. I'll make one for you.
No, you won't. you'll buy the rum. I know you'll do that. And you'll bring me like a Hostess rum cake.
He doesn't even allow me my bullshit.
I'm not
at this point in our lives.
You're not getting down that road.
I can't say anything. He just chomps me right down. That's okay. Yeah. It's okay. It's good for me.
So that's our Thanksgiving specials, folks. Tommy has something he wants to share with you for the inevitable and the must-have next day at the football game leftovers. So, Tommy, take it away.
Yeah, so it's the next day, and you have all these leftovers, and rather than just going at it like you did the day before, I got a little idea that I'm sure you're going to like, and it goes kind of along with the concept of the Thanksgiving sandwich. And this is a couple of years ago. I just got up and I started thinking. I said, hey, I have an idea. I think I'm going to try making Thanksgiving egg rolls.
Ooh.
Very simple. A child can do it. All you have to do is get yourself some egg roll wrappers. And what you want to do is get some cranberry sauce, some leftover stuffing, some leftover turkey meat. You spread some cranberry sauce on the egg roll wrapper. Place maybe a couple of tablespoons of your stuffing, leftover stuffing, and a couple of chunks of your turkey. You can even, as an option, add the mashed potato. I did that once, and I found the texture just wasn't right. There was too much soft going on. Mm-hmm. But anyways, add those three items, roll your egg roll up, and you want to fry them off in a skillet with about 1 inch of either a vegetable oil, a canola oil, or highly recommend peanut oil. That would even be better. And brown them off. Just cook them off till they get nice and brown. Remove them, put them on a rack to cool. So I'm doing this, and then my head starts thinking again. I'm like, wait a minute. I got some leftover gravy in the fridge.
Ooh.
Y'all know where I'm going with this.
We're all
Take that out, put some in a cup, heat it up, and there's your dipping sauce.
Wow.
The Thanksgiving egg roll, dipping it in the gravy. I'm telling you,
Fantastic.
try it. You got to try it. It's easy.
Can you pull a recipe together for that? Because I'll put
Sure.
I'll put that in the details
Sure.
at the bottom too. If you pull a quick recipe for that,
And that's a
awesome.
great,
And what
it's
kind-
more of a snack type thing.
And what did you use for a wrapper? With the,
You can buy egg roll wrappers. Usually they're sold in the produce sections of the markets, but I don't recall an exact.
When you wrap them right
brand.
on like the cutting board or something like that, you just wrap them. Put them
Yeah,
together,
they're
right?
basically you open the package up and they're little squares. They're already cut,
Gotcha.
already pre-made.
Yep.
And like I said, you just like you're putting jelly on toast.
Yeah.
You just put the cranberry sauce on.
yeah, I see a lot of things made like that with phyllo dough, and what people use for that is that Pillsbury. You know the little croissant roll-ups.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You break that thing open, and they're little squares of dough, and you can
Right.
do the same thing in that dough, and then fry it off. That sounds delicious.
Give that a try. It's
amazing.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah. You know who's going to love that too is Shannon. Shannon's going to love to get a cook video on that.
Oh yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it. Here we go.
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much. Another great
Wait a
week.
minute. Wait a
Oh,
minute. Wait.
Hold your
what
horse.
happened? Wait, you have a leftover tip?
Wait a minute. Mr. Piccaro's son got some playing time this weekend.
Stop it.
Yeah,
You're
he
embarrassing.
did. My godson got moved up to second string as a freshman, and a lot of craziness went on to lead that to happening. But
Yes.
the end of the day is that it's the end of the game, and the starting quarterback knocked out. And Luke went in there and handled himself very well. I saw the video, and he looks like he belongs out there, man. And I couldn't get over how much bigger he looks than he did last year. Yeah. I'm sure he's at least 10 pounds heavier than he was, but he looks like the real deal. And good luck with that, man. I'm so proud
Definitely.
of him.
So that's awesome. It's a great story.
I shared with you the two things, and it's what kills me, and I mean kills me, like I turn into this mush of a crying father in a moment, is there's things when he's repeating these stories that his face just lights up, right? And I told you one when he was lining up at the end. The other one was he's afterwards, they changed up, they're out of uniforms, they come over to tailgate, they're getting fed, all the kids are coming up and they're giving him the love. Oh man, you did so well, I couldn't believe you'd do it, I thought you were going to fumble every snap, and he's like looking at me, telling me these answers to them, going, dude, I got recruited. I know how to throw a football, and he's just, and you see that little 8-year-old face in that, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
so happy for him that
Enjoy,
he didn't.
man.
It was all the simple stuff. He didn't do anything. He didn't win the game, but let me tell you, he didn't fumble a ball.
He looked at ease, and he looked like he belonged, and that goes a long way.
Nice.
A long way.
Thank you for mentioning that. And with that, folks, we leave you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week with some more wonderful stuff. It's actually going to be the post-Thanksgiving. Me and Charlie will have an extra 10 pounds on us, I'm sure. So, we'll give you some antics to what happened on Thanksgiving, and we want to hear yours too. So if you get a chance, if you get any great recipes you want to share, you want to get them out to us, Fredo at wiseguysbarbecue.com. Yeah, bring them. Tommy will get them through, vet them, get them on the bottoms for you. Even some of the stuff we've been trying to do with some of these fantastic ideas will be coming up real soon. We might save it till Christmas, but Tommy's got these wonderful Peugeot pinwheels that he did on the grill that we're going to be sharing with you. And that came from a viewer. A viewer came out and said, "Hey, it was a different kind of a presentation of the meat and the cook. They were like with chimichurri sauce, but he said these would be awesome. We should try these." And I said, "Yeah, but I know what Tommy's going to want to do with these. He's going to want to make a Peugeot out of it," and that's what he did. So we're trying not to confuse Thanksgiving, but right after Thanksgiving, we'll have that out. And anything else you want to see, challenge us. We'd love to get a cook down for you, and we'd like to get your stories on the air. So please hit us up, and don't forget to subscribe and like, and we'll catch you next week.
Adios.
Take care.